Well, light's fading fast. Definitely not enough time to go up the road. It'd be pitch black by the time I got in the woods there. I'm just living a little too far away from some mountains that I can climb up on. So, until I just got to learn a few more routes around here. See if I can get up in elevation nearby here. That way, there is some mountains on the other side of a big lake, and this way, they're on the other side of a big river. And I got to learn how to navigate my way around here yet. But anyway, I'll have time for that later. Man, I've got a lot of adventure time coming up quick. Right, it's just climbing on my ass, and I got to get things done. Actually, tore this entire barn wall down behind me. Tore it down, reframed it brand new, and stained and sided this Douglas fir siding I put behind me. Just random screws all over the place, random patterns, kind of like a newer age, old style barn look. And yeah, I'm babbling away. It's interesting to see where this channel goes, where the discussions go lately, right? I think the last couple email videos I shared took us down a couple of different roads. But anyway, I'm just gonna get right into it and we'll see what's coming. So as you can see, I read these for the first time with you guys right here. And what you don't see is a lot of times there's a lot of emails that don't make it. Just because, like, as I think I told you guys about it before, I'll read an email and it'll go on and on and on and on and on, and it'll be up to 2 to 3 times longer than your average email from all you guys before it even gets to any part about the experience or knowledge shared with the people. And then finally I'll just tap out and I'll throw in the towel and go, oh shit, can't believe I just did that, because I'd lose like 18-20 minutes of my time just doing that, and then I gotta start again and find another one. And that's how it goes. So last night, obviously, I read that one where somebody was venting on me, and that I've had time to think about it. My gut's telling me that was just somebody. My gut's telling me that was not a factual story from that email about the virus thing last night. I think it was somebody who was upset with me for voicing my opinion, for sharing the information that I gathered on the Rebel channel, because what they said just didn't make sense. It didn't sit right with me afterwards. But I was in the middle of the moment with you guys, and obviously when I get called out for a fight, I'm gonna fight. I can't help it. I have a tough time walking away, and I was reading away, and then they said, you know, you won't even share this. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm effer, watch this, I'll share it. Of course I get to share it. We all get to speak, we all get to defend ourselves, and if somebody's got something shit-eating to say, well, say it, and we'll deal with it if it's worthy of being dealt with, or worthy of being read and shared with everybody here, right? Worthy of our time. But anyways, I think a handful of people felt the same. But either way, it's pretty tough to not get sidetracked. Not sidetracked, it's just pretty tough today to not take on that topic today, right? Especially as Dave Plattis is checking in tonight. We're texting away while I was being driven back home from town, talking about the BS is going on, plans that we have in the future, and how this border and mandatory vaccination stuff is going to possibly affect some future plans. We'll see how it pans out. Anyway, another topic, more conversations for later. I'm babbling, aren't I? Okay, let's stay on track. We're sharing people's emails right now. There's too many topics floating around in my head. Now, what do we have here? Got to hear this one, titled, and I'm reading, this is on my new phone, so I'm still reading new email shares that are coming in recently right now, okay, you guys? And my old phone's charged up again, ready to go, so I get back to getting back to those other emails that have been shared in those notes there. Hi, Steve, I want to tell you about a day myself and my 2 brothers went fishing on the river. I must keep our identity safe, as one brother has passed, and in my culture, it's considered disrespectful to talk about the dead. We live in Washington State. It was in October 2010. We decided to have a brother's day and hit the river. It was a beautiful day, sun was shining, a little breeze coming from the southeast. We hiked up to our spot, cast a few times, when one brother, who we call C, said he was going up around to a log jam to try for a bit. We'd always had a call out to let each other where we were and head back. I asked C how long he'd be, 20 minutes or so, he said. Well, myself and brother 2, we'll call S, were on the fish big time. That's when I noticed that C wasn't back yet, that the time passed quickly. He was gone about an hour or so. So S and I did our first call out. Waited, nada. Did a second one, still nothing. We were getting worried. So we started up to where C was on. As we were hiking up a god-awful smell you just can't describe hit our noses, and I lost my lunch. After that, we seen something squatting down at the river's edge drinking water from its hand. Myself and S stopped and looked at one another. We didn't have to say a damn word. We knew what it was. All of a sudden, Brother C comes out behind us and scared the shit out of us and said, "We have to go now." Without a second thought, we left a few days later. I haven't heard from Brother S or C. I've called lots of times with no response from both. I had this bad feeling in the pit of my stomach that C wasn't doing well, so I had a family member who lived 2 minutes away from them go check on them. S was in bed asleep as C was in bed almost dead. I remember C telling us about how he looked at what we all seen in the eyes, which you should never do. In our culture, Native American, because they have the power to make you very sick or kill you if they wish. C recovered from the sickness, and last year and a half ago we lost C, rest in peace. But thanks to you for reading this, and hope someone out there has something close to what we did. Fur trader. Okay, man. Thanks for that share. Sorry to hear about your brother's passing. And that's interesting to hear. I've heard not only from the Aboriginal peoples, but I've heard from other peoples, cultures, where they have mentioned that these beings can inflict serious harm upon us if they feel without even touching us. And right now, would I believe that is true? Are you kidding me right now? That's probably one of the less craziest things to accept about our reality in this world today, wouldn't you think? I think anything's possible right now. Right now, anything's possible. And again, thank you very much for that share. Absolutely appreciate you sharing that with us. And I'm quite certain someone is possibly experienced the same thing in the same neighborhood, and will share with us as well. All right, I'm good on that one. Oh boy. All right, so here we go. You don't know it, but I just dumped about 12 minutes into reading an excruciating long email that wasn't getting to any point at all. Whew. I'm not going to put you guys through that, but I just went through it, and now I got to start on another one. Here we go. Giants / for your information. In my research, I found. All right, this is about research. It's not too long. In my research, I found over 2,000 skeletal remains of giant proportion have been found in the USA alone since around 1900. Archaeologists and researchers who uncovered them turned them over to the Vatican's and Bankers Smithsonian Institute. Up until around World War II, the facility did display some of the skulls and full skeletons. Then they mysteriously vanished, and they claim they didn't know what happened to them. Sure they don't. The Smithsonian has been sued in the past for losing or destroying historical artifacts their masters do not want the general population knowing about. Many of those 2,000 remains just found in the USA were found in upstate New York. All right, I had to move inside. There's too much noise out there. And the light was absolutely fading out, so I had to come back in the shop, and now you're stuck with that stupid fisheye look again. Just for now. But I don't know why the Sony digital camera, it picks up with the lighting in this shop. I recorded that camera, and then you've seen it before. I think I did it a month ago. There's weird lines go down the screen from the lighting. It's kind of odd. I don't know what it is. Obviously, a bunch of you out there probably will. I don't know what it is. But the Canon DSLR doesn't do that. So that's why I'm using it right now. And yes, the zoom lens is still out on the boat, on the coast. So we're going to have to carry on this way, all right? Either way, it's all information, and it's getting it out to you guys, which is the point of the game here. Soon, the game's going to change, all right? Until then, we've got to put up with this stuff, random places to do this from. The Smithsonian has been sued in the past for losing or destroying historical artifacts their masters do not want the general population knowing about. Many of those 2,000 remains just found in the USA were found in upstate New York, the Ohio Valley, and Arizona. not far from the Vatican's NASA Observatory and the Arizona mountain where all the deep caves are. Native Americans have told stories about the giants who lived in the caves underground, not far from the one mountain that appears to be a pyramid. Giant skeletal remains have been found worldwide. Peru has very fertile soil for vegetation. They surely did not need that staircase to cultivate crops. To answer the question seems rather obvious. Giants existed, and they may still exist within the earth. Admiral Byrd may have seen them when he entered the inside of the earth in 1947 at the North Pole. He did a TV talk show, and shortly thereafter in 1957 he suddenly died of a heart attack. Before he died, he took his son to the North Pole. His son followed in his naval and research footsteps. In 1968, when his son was returning to Boston from Bethesda, Maryland, via train, he went missing. They found him dead in an abandoned warehouse in Baltimore. Some puppet came forward and said he had seen him and another bum hanging around the area and they were drunk. The media flew with that story. His son had his father's diary. The only other person to accompany Byrd Sr. on his expeditions, one being into the inner earth at the North Pole, was a younger man named Sipple. He too died in '68 from a sudden stroke. Longtime follower, supporter, and fan, Jeff Thornton. Okay, Jeff, that sounds interesting. If you could, I hope I read that smoothly. You guys had a bit of an interruption there. But if you could, Jeff, if you could possibly email me back some links directly related to that story and that knowledge so we could get the share out and we can get some of our local, you know, our members of the round table of knowledge, our sleuths, our super sleuths, might be interested in seeking and finding that knowledge and backing it up and sharing as much as they can about it, and that would be very, very handy, obviously, right? And the Smithsonian, obviously, it's no secret. It's no secret what those sleaze bags have done. Obviously, coupled up with the other sleaze bags who continue to manipulate our lives daily and have withheld valuable information about our true past and possibly what our lives could truly be, the quality of our lives that could be today, possibly, if a lot of this knowledge was shared with all of us as equals, right? You never know. And we won't know until we find out and we look into it, right? So it all depends on how deep you're willing to dive, right? Now, thanks for sending that. Please send more, all right? Send us more about that. That's an interesting story topic, and the details that accompany that story would be very interesting to me, for sure, and I'm sure many others. My experience. Hey, Steve, first of all, you can use my name. I don't really care, all right? Eric Schoolmeister. Gotcha, Eric. I hope I pronounced your last name properly, man. Obviously, I suck at pronunciation sometimes, right? Especially when I'm tired. I'm tired of being tired. But I'm never too tired to do this. My story is a strange one, or maybe not at all that strange, but has stuck with me ever since. First, I am someone who loves learning and the knowledge that is gained through the scientific method. I hold a master's in environmental geology. I was a science teacher for several years, and I have spent countless hours hiking through many of this beautiful country's national forests. One time I was driving from South Dakota to Massachusetts and was just camping along the way. It was the night that I spent in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan that I had my encounter. The night was June 4th, 2018, and I was 25 years old. I first almost stayed at a camping ground by the shore of the Great Lake, but it was a little too modern for my liking. So I decided to just drive into the forest and see if I could find a better spot. I found a small campground with only 6 primitive sites along a medium-sized creek. It was the only one there that night. I was the only one there that night. There was a small grassy spot by the creek, and I was just sitting in the sun reading a book when I just heard aggressive crashing through the trees, like a car was driving through it. I did see a flash of brown in the dense trees, and I thought maybe a moose walked up on me and got scared once it realized I was human. I think differently now. The noise really woke me up, and I decided to hike along the creek as the sun was getting low and it was starting to get dark. I got about 45 minutes up the river and noticed an old logging cut road right by the creek. The sun was setting through the opening of the road. It made your shadow stretch along the ground. As I was taking a picture of my sprawling shadow, a large rock came crashing down through the tree canopy and made a loud thud as it hit the ground. I then heard a high-pitched animal noise that somewhat reminded me of a crow, but it was different, louder. I walked over to investigate. I'm 6'2", 190, and consider myself skilled and in shape, but I didn't see anything. I did feel an overwhelming sense of fear, so much so that I was actually trembling. It was going to be pretty dark by the time I got back, so I just started walking. As I was maybe 5-ish minutes into my walk back, it happened again. A huge crash through the canopy and a loud thud on the ground. It was only about 10 to 15 yards behind me, and I was officially freaked out. I got back and only had a hammock set up for the night for me to sleep in. I thought, okay, I have no food out of my car. Nothing should bother me or my sight. As I lay there, a tree direct across the river from my hammock was knocked over violently. I thought, beaver? There was very little wind that night. I did actually get a pretty good night's sleep and nothing else seemed to happen to me. It was the next day while driving that it really hit just how weird the whole experience was. I don't know what to make of it, but I'm determined to make it back out into the woods and look. Like you have said in your own videos, I'm not scared of death and my drive for knowledge pushes me. I'd love to share my thoughts with you about Bigfoot and what I think it is and how it stays so hidden from science. I'd also love a chance to go hunting with you and to share with you my other more mild Bigfoot experience. Cheers, Eric. Okay, Eric. Thanks for that. And you've heard me say it to everybody else who emails in and they say they're not sure what it was. If you sought out this channel and you have interest here and then you sought out the email address and went to share that story with me through me with all the people, you already know what it was. So do we. But the question is the whys. The number one question for me, I don't know why, for me, like I've said it a dozen times, the number one mystery for me, for my puzzle, is I want to know why we are not formally informed about these beings. That's all I want to know. And I'm quite certain if that answer gets answered clearly, then we will know the answers to everything. That's just my thoughts. You can tap into that yourself. Take from it what you want, add to it or leave it, doesn't matter, right? But that's how I feel on the topic today. I want to know why we are not informed officially of these beings, why we are not why we do not have the known knowledge of them shared with us, so that it does not affect our equal opportunity to live this lifetime to the max, undisturbed, unharassed, and without terror. Is that too much to ask for? Right? But anyway, side topic before I forget again. I have a substantial, overwhelming amount of emails from doctors, nurses, first responders, numerous regular people like myself and yourselves who have been affected by what's going on on our planet today, the virus. And these emails are directly 100% related to knowledge about it. And there's so much so that I feel that it's not that I want to, not that I have time to, but I have to. I have to share the words of these people with all of you. I have to. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I don't, well, how else are we going to get all the knowledge we can and all the knowledge that we deserve to know? Unless somebody shares it, somebody collects it and shares it. So there is so many emails from so many caring, educated, experienced people that I am going to now not only share all of your email experiences here, but I am now going to regularly share emails about the virus on the Rumble channel in the exact same format, the exact same delivery. I'm going to read these emails and who the people are they're sharing when they say it's okay to. And I'm going to share all the knowledge that I'm accumulating with all of you. You have the choice to go to that Rumble channel and listen, and you have the choice not to. All right? And just so, if there's anybody out there who is curious
as a side note to the very few I think might be hovering around out there, just so you know, I own the right to speak out loud about any topic I feel is important to speak about. And I also own the right to look into any and all facts of any topic I wish to and speak out loud about them. And I feel strong enough about that fact that I am willing to fight to the death to protect that right that I own to be able to speak out loud about any topic I wish to speak about. Do you understand? Just take that note. For any of you out there who are conniving and conspiring to either A, harm me or silence me, and we know who you are. I know who a few of you are. You're a coward. You're cowards. But I'll save that for some time in private between us and not waste time here. But as a quick note, just so you know, I am willing to fight to the death to protect my right that I own to speak out loud about any topic I wish to speak about. All right? And you know who that goes to. Getting on with it. And I will inform you of when those videos will hit the Rumble channel so you can stay just as informed as I am informing myself. All right? And you have the right, you own it, to either listen to, take from what you will, or leave it. All right? Now getting on to these people who need to be heard. Enough of this frickin' ranting bullshit we've had dominating this channel the past few evenings. It's starting to frickin' get to me, for God's sakes. We gotta get on to listening to the people. Reply to Lejeune story. The guy who wrote in from Camp Lejeune. I'm from Richlands. Where I grew up, we were surrounded by deep, dark North Carolina jungle. I spent 90% of my time as a kid on Cowhorn Creek, just off the Gum Branch Road. The river access I lived beside was only exposed to the road access. Everything else was heavily wooded. I remember sitting on that riverbank as a kid, 8 to 9 years old, and always felt like I was being watched. Never saw anything, but you know how thick those woods are in coastal North Carolina. This was mid-80s, fast forward to 2000. I've been in a tree stand for the better part of an afternoon. Once I got past seeing light, I unchambered the round out of my Winchester 270, climbed down out of my tree stand, and instantly got that sinking feeling that I had just been busted by a big buck. I froze, looked around very slowly, and saw nothing. I stayed frozen for what seemed like eternity. Not hearing or seeing anything, I loosened up enough to start walking out. It was completely dark by then. I made it maybe 30 steps before I heard what sounded like bipedal footsteps off to my right rear. I'd stop and it would stop. I'd take 3 or 4 steps and then it would take 3 or 4 steps, in step with me. After serving in the Army from 2006 to 2015, I can now say it sounded like when you're marching in formation and one guy gets out of step and does that foot shuffling half step to get back in step. It was like they couldn't quite match up my stride and kept screwing up. This was intimidating as fuck, as I had no clue what I was hearing and it was dead silent in the woods. So quiet the sound of your own heart beat hurts your ears, and mine was pounding. This went on for about an hour and a half and over 3/4 of a mile back to my truck. As I got closer to the wood line and my truck, the steps behind me began to get closer and seemingly intentionally louder, as if whatever it was doing was ushering me out of the woods, like, go, get the F out, leave. I was absolutely intimidated. Every hair on my body was standing up, fight or flight senses in 100% full flight mode. Senses on fire, and every thread of my being telling me I needed to leave. I turned around and cranked all 5 rounds of my 270 into the darkness. Once I made it to my truck and screamed F you in the woods, all I got back was the echoes of my shots and my scream reverberating back from the dense woods. Nothing responded. It wouldn't have mattered if it had. I had perforated my left eardrum firing the rifle 5 times with no ear pro. I told my dad and he completely blew me off and gave me shit for wasting ammo on a bobcat or a squirrel. I've not hunted that plot since, nor being back in there. I never once saw what it was, and only recently, within the last 5 years, became aware of the tree structure phenomenon. Now looking back, I can remember seeing giant X's all over the place in there, and finding giant briar patches that have been matted down, like big wallows or beds. Deer will sleep under the briar, but I'd never seen them on top of it. We'd found multiple kill sites, lots of fur, but never any remains, never any bones. I have a friend that's also lived in Richlands his entire life. Last name's Brinson. If he reads this, he'll know who I am. But anyway, he told me a story about him and some buddies that were running coon dogs one night. I know these guys have all my life. They've been coon hunting with dogs since their daddies can convince their mamas to let them out of the house. They know their stuff in the woods, and these are the kind of men, manly men, look up to. Well, the story I got was as follows. They had gone out one night to run dogs in Hoffman Forest. Well, they turned the dogs out into a large 10 by 10 acre cultivated pine plot that was pretty swampy. The dogs were really quiet for a few minutes while they were sniffing out raccoons. I guess they never got on trail, as my buddy explained to me that the forest went from near total silence to the sounds of dogs being ripped apart, yelping and squalling like hell. These guys bombed off into the swamp to see what was killing their prize coon dogs. Once they got in to where the dogs were, there was blood, organs, intestines, and fur ripped apart and draped up in the trees. The description I got was that it looked like someone tied all the dogs, 8 to 10 in total, in a small circle, then dropped a grenade in the middle of them and pulled the pin. He said there was shit everywhere, and all the collars were left in a pile at the base of a large pine tree. So you're not the first to talk about these things being around Onslow County. Where my parents live now, out on Comfort Road, you can sit on the back porch at night and hear shit out in the swamp that doesn't sound natural. Howls, screams, stuff that sounds like an entire pack of dogs fighting. There's some weird stuff in those woods. And personally, I want to know what the F walked me out of those woods. That was a bullshit experience, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Thanks for all you do, Steve. I'll forward this to the Tell My Story email. Okay. Well, I got it on this one. That sucks. And how bad would that make you feel if your dogs got all killed? How many people have had their dogs killed? And why? Right? It almost takes you back to that movie, The Terminator. Remember the very first Terminator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? And all the humans are forced underground to avoid the artificial life robots. What is it? AIs? Whatever you call it. Their main defense with canines. Go figure. Isn't that weird? The coincidences of a lot of TV shows from the past and movies and what's going on today. The coincidences are kind of creepy when you look into that. But it is kind of bizarre. Dogs are our sixth sense on four paws. That's all there is to it. Man's best friend. How many times have we heard of dogs being killed by these wild beings? Numerous. Far too many to count. Ripped in half, thrown on the porch, beat on trees, thrown on the ground, hanging in trees, ripped apart, back leg ripped off, on and on and on. Why? Why the disdain for canines? Why do they hate our dogs so much? Why are they willing to go kill some family's pet and annihilate it and mutilate it without even thinking twice about it? When meanwhile, there's not much a dog can do to it except warn us that they are around. Why is that so important to stop and prevent? Why? Why? The questions, right? Why? I don't know why, but it's good to hear other people sparking up from the same neighborhoods, the same areas that they hear experiences come from via this channel, and then you turn around and knee-jerk email us your experiences from the same zone, only because of the previous person that shared here, right? Which is very, very good. Okay, here we go with another one. Man, I'm getting tired. It makes me not read so smooth, but I got sucked into reading 3 different emails so far this evening that turned out to be an absolute waste of time. It just sucks. And then I gotta start again, and it just sucks the life out of me. But I'm gonna keep going. And in the meantime, I heard another cricket pipe up. It's amazing. Isn't it amazing how many people hate crickets? Kill that cricket! Find that cricket and kill it! It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's like a lot of people hate cats, a lot of people love cats. A lot of people love to hear crickets in the woods. Some people want to kill every cricket they hear. They don't really bug me, you guys. Same as the ravens. I don't care. I actually prefer to hear the sounds. Then I know I'm safe, right? All right, here we go. Mark this as red. Get on with this one. Tomorrow I got to travel frickin' 7 hours one way to... Anyway, okay, here we go. Enough of my babbling. Just so you guys know, I'm up to 4 emails now that I will refuse to share online. This is a time-eating evening today, I'll tell you what, tonight. Hi Steve, I live in one of the most beautiful places in the lower 48 by the Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park on the Smith River. We are in a dense temperate rainforest, 5 miles from the pristine Pacific Ocean and 10 miles from the Oregon border. We have herds of elk, deer, otters, osprey, eagles, on and on. You would never know you were in California. We have one of the conservative strongholds in California. So, we're with you. One morning at 5:30 a.m., mid-September 2020, my husband and his friend were getting ready to take the boat fishing out in the ocean. I was coming out of the garage. My husband's friend was standing in front of his SUV, and my husband turned the light on in the boathouse, which is a tall carport structure, open on all sides. When the lights come on, all we heard was the loudest scream/screech we ever heard, followed by 3 whoops. It sounded frightened and running down between our neighbor's house and the river. But it did the same vocal pattern again. We all just stood there, dumbfounded, then looked at each other and said, "What was that?" We've all lived in the woods for a long, long time and have seen all the wildlife known to Northern California, but never heard anything that loud or frightening. My husband and his friend left to go fishing. When they returned, our neighbors came over. They explained that they were sound asleep when they heard the scream/screech and whoops behind their bedroom window and sat straight up in bed and said, "What was that?" My neighbor said and investigated by wandering all around his large backyard, looked for any kind of evidence. The only thing he found was that all of the pears on his tree were gone. They had planned on picking them that day for canning. We discussed it all together for a few more times. Our neighbors went on to investigate the sounds it made on the internet. They came back and played it for us, and it sounded just like it. The sounds were from a Bigfoot recording. None of us had ever looked into the topic before. My husband and I listen to all your YouTube videos now and know what we heard. Thank you for your sight and all you do. That is one hell of a stunning photograph and place to play. Holy cow. Thanks for that email, Cheryl. Appreciate it, and I'm glad that you guys are gaining some knowledge from here to put to rest some of the mysteries going on in your own back 40, right? As many people are. There's so many people are gaining the courage to come forward and share with everybody here their experiences. It's pretty amazing. It's a good thing, and it can't stop. We can't let it stop, right? But it is amazing how many people, don't you think? How many people know? Isn't it amazing how many people have been successfully suppressed from speaking out loud? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that the effort put forward to squash this one reality has been so successful with this many first-hand eyewitnesses? Isn't that becoming a little amazing by now? I mean, obviously we can apply that to a lot more other things going on right now on this planet that are absolutely shit-eating. But if you just stick to this one topic for right now, the fact is, it is pretty amazing how mainstream has managed, the effort they put forth, managed to win so far, but not anymore. They're not winning now, and they're not going to win out anymore either. This is it. The cat's out of the bag, the tide's turned, and the people are coming together. It's pretty freaking cool when you see what happens when all the good people come together and realize just how powerful they are, right? The people are the ultimate power. They just got to be convinced of it. And then all it is a simple decision. Isn't that crazy? All of this power, all the power in the world is all between our ears. Every one of us, we own it. It's all between our ears. Isn't it an amazing thing how much power can be seated right here, right in between those ears? And all you have to do to use it or utilize it is make a decision. And that's it. Isn't it crazy? But anyway, I'm babbling away. Hopefully I got enough email shares done this evening. I'm going to have to edit this one extensively, unfortunately, due to the other garbage emails that found their way in there. But no big deal. It's no big deal. It's an easy hiccup to get past. But anyway, I will be back again soon. I may have to skip a night or two again. due to things we have to get done. I got no way out of it, but I will make a video shortly and I'll share with you what I've been doing. You might find it interesting, and at least now the vision can be somewhat come to play. You can share the vision with me and see what's coming. It's pretty exciting. So keep those emails coming in, you guys, all right? Share my story at howtohunt.com or tell my story at howtohunt.com. Please try not to email both with the same email, okay? You emailed it once, good enough. It'll get got to, all right? Be safe out there and don't take shit from anyone. Don't fear anyone or anything, all right?